subject, the space sector and our challenge, and giving us such overwhelming response with huge number of applications. And I want to congratulate each one of you. Even if you're not a winner, you've done a brilliant job by putting forward your ideas and thoughts and thinking on these lines for innovating for India and for space sector. Thank you for doing that. For our panel today, a very esteemed panel, we have the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Professor K. Vijay Raghavan, with us today for this event. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and taking out your time for this event today. We have with us Mission Director, ATL Innovation Mission, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, who's here with us also for this event today. We have with us Dr. Sudhir, who is the Director for Capacity Building Program Office with Indian Space Research Organization. Thank you for joining in, sir, and for the collaboration on this space challenge. We also have with us Shri Manoj Ahuja ji, who is the chairperson for Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, also our esteemed partner for the ATL Space Challenge this year. A very big call out, thanks to the support to ISRO and CBSE, we were able to roll out this challenge for all schools, not just ATL Tinkering Labs, which was the first of its kind in terms of competitions and events that we've done. It was only with the support of the two esteemed organizations that we were able to open up the challenge to all students and got an overwhelming response. With that, let me request Dr. Chintan Vaishnav to take forward the proceedings of the event today and give his opening address to all students, mentors, teachers, and all the esteemed guests who have joined us today. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Chintan.
Thank you, Dipali, and greetings everybody from ATL Innovation Mission. Again, a big thank you to all the esteemed guests also for taking out the time for these wonderful children of India. I have to say, well, I have to apologize upfront and say that if I get too excited in talking about what I'm going to say, please don't mind me. I was these days, if you live in Delhi, you hear all these difficult news throughout the day. Some person X has COVID, person Y got Omicron, whatever it is. So I, this afternoon, as I was looking at this event coming up, I decided that I'll just go in and look at I will do a random sampling of videos of what applicants of this challenge have done and find some inspiration in them, right? I have to say, I was blown away. I mean, there were 4 areas in which these challenges this year were exploring space, reaching space, inhabiting space, and leveraging space, right? And I thought I'll just randomly click on videos from each of these areas. And I was able to find these were sort of 8th grade, 9th grade type of students doing work like building a sensing system for gas leakage detection in space shuttles. That was one area that I was looking at. Then there was this group from Kerala. There were 2 girls, and they were describing the space weather. Why space weather is important? How do you monitor sort of the ionospheric radiation in space weather? And so I have to tell you, I actually was learning from what they were saying. I may have learned it long ago, but I've completely forgotten about it. And so there was that. Then I was sort of going on. There were, of course, several examples of rovers, and there was a lot of variety of rovers, actually. So that was quite interesting in reaching space, exploring space. And there was this one team that talked about AI and ML based anomaly detection once we start to inhabit Mars. So they had this very sophisticated model of what is within normal range of atmospheric parameters, and how one could say when things go outside of the normal range that there is something abnormal going on here. And then they had this engine which would even count how many times you've been outside the abnormal range and what is the severity of that being outside the abnormal range and all that. And I was like, wow, this is incredible that these young people have thought about all this. And in some ways, I mean, actually, it also brought to mind this quote of Swami Vivekanand, whose birth anniversary today. It is the National Youth Day, where he said, that education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man, or of course, man or woman, right? But really fascinating. I have to say that I was filled with hope. I'm filled with hope. So congratulations to everybody who has participated here and who has, of course, made it to. If you made it to top 75, I'm sure you are even more excited. But everybody deserves, as Dipali said, a great thumbs up and a pat on the back for having participated here. Um, Again, something like this would not have been possible without the partnership with ISRO and CBSC, who have partnered with AIM on several other things to bring such opportunities to the young innovators of India. So a big thank you to them. This was a 6-week challenge, and we had over 2,500 entries. As was mentioned, this year, these entries are from both ATLs and non-ATLs. And some 6,500 students participated in this challenge over the period of 6th September, when it was launched, and 15th October, when it got over. Um, and several live sessions were done, about 8 sessions with eminent scientists who talked about various topics, and of course served as great inspiration to young people. And if you look at the views on YouTube for these sessions, there were 48,000 views of these sessions. So very encouraging, great to see. Also, these 75 innovations that we have identified in the end for this space challenge. They are selected from 75 unique schools across India. Uh, 22 of these top 75 are all girls teams. Also, 22 of them are not the same 22, but 22 of 75 are from non-ATL teams. So these are non-ATL schools rather. So these are schools where there isn't an ATL, but they've participated in this event and have won um, a spot in the top 75. These winners, what can they look forward to? They can look forward to all students who participated are going to get a certificate. The top teams are going to get a certificate of achievement, including a top team from each state. And we also have some other exciting prizes for the 75 teams that come from ISRO and CBSC. So this is a really wonderful celebration. Once again, congratulations from my side. And I look forward to watching more videos. Thank you. Back to you, Deep.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chintan, for sharing the details about the winners and the applications that we got. And indeed, the overwhelming response, it wasn't easy for us to evaluate. There were experts from ISRO, CBSE, AIM, and multiple stages of evaluation that got us to these 75 top innovations. And why 75 is because we are also celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of Indian independence, and hence this magical number of 75 that is our top team's number. With that, let me request Professor K. Vijayaraghavan, the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, who is gracing this event with his presence today, to share his words of wisdom with the students, teachers, and mentors who've joined us today for this YouTube Live. Over to you, Professor Vijayaraghavan.
Much. It's a great pleasure to be here with all the students. I really wish we were all together in one place, but that unfortunately cannot happen today. But I'm sure will happen at some time. Um, I must also, first of all, really congratulate you on participating in such a difficult time. The key way by which we do things as humans is by meeting, talking, chatting, sharing our samosas, and so on. And without any of that, to work on innovative challenges is really, it's very sad that this pandemic is on us. It's almost anti-human nature that we have to work this way and learn to work this way and learn to work. So while we can adapt and do things wonderfully in difficult contexts, I am sure that this period will pass and we'll be able to get together in person also later. So that's one important. Now, the second point is why on Earth, to use a phrase, should we be interested in space science and its challenges in all these kinds of ways? What value does it have for us? Why does it entice so much curiosity and enthusiasm than if you have a challenge on some other area? This is sort of a natural challenge. You don't even, have to make great effort to get participation. People are very excited. So there's something in the stars and the broad universe which fills us with a sense of awe, and our ability to explore that is so wonderful. So that's something which is a product of our human history in interesting times. When humans started forming societies and being able to, much before that, able to think and look at the future, they found the bright lights of the stars, which unfortunately you can't see today because of the bright lights on the ground and because of the pollution. They found the bright lights of the stars just awesome. And because the changes in the positions of stars correlated with what happened in terms of seasons and so on, they formed a link between what was happening in the stars and what happened on Earth. But in practice, they also figured out something very correct and useful, which is the movement of the Earth around the sun gave rise to seasons, and the analysis of that allowed them to do things of great economic value. Agriculture, travel, commerce, all of that depended on seasons, on predicting them correctly, and so on. And with that, we also learned on the side matters of great value from an astronomy perspective, which were not necessarily of great value from a practical perspective. You know, how does an eclipse occur? Why does it occur? And so on. Barely influenced things on Earth over any significant period of time. But those were very curiosity driven. The first telescopes also allowed us to explore the skies in this manner, but more and more powerful telescopes came about, which are absolutely astounding. Many of you know that, for example, one of our best optical telescopes is in Hanle in Ladakh, and it's a really superb telescope. The sky is clear there, but it is operated from near Bangalore in Karnataka. So all the observations which are taking place is done far away, but there's a top class engineer, Dorje Amshur, look him up, who keeps the telescope going. And Dorje is also a fantastic photographer of the skies. If you look him up on Facebook and Twitter, you will find his photographs, which are absolutely stunning, and show you the skies in Ladakh and Hanle really beautiful. But that's only one of our telescopes. We have telescopes in Kodaikanal, in Uttarakhand near Dehradun. We have other telescopes which look at different parts of a spectrum. The giant meter wave radio telescope, for example, near Pune, is an extraordinary feat of engineering, which was done over 20 years ago, 25 years ago, built entirely by Indian industry. and there's a huge array of radio telescopes pointing towards the sky and looking at the radio spectrum. So much before that, there was another radio telescope built in the 1960s and 70s in Ooty. So India has got a great history of exploring space from Earth. ISRO has also done a terrific job of exploring space from space. The AstroSat and other missions which looked at both the universe in general, but also the sun in particular, are well known and are very important. And they plan to launch some more satellites to explore the skies. And they collaborate in many of these areas with other major space agencies. Very recently, the Webb telescope, which has been launched in a partnership with the European Space Agency and NASA, is a huge $10 billion project which will explore parts of the universe which have never been seen and address important matters related to dark energy and dark matter and so on. And it's an extraordinary feat of engineering, very expensive. So these are the kinds of approaches looking at the skies. But when looking at the skies, as you have done in many of your projects, we shouldn't forget that the skies allow us to look at Earth. And there, ISRO has been truly transformative in how our life has been shaped because of their efforts. Whether it is looking at our biodiversity, looking at how our solar insolation is distributed, how arid and wet regions there are, combining all the information into spatial inputs so that we can know how much of our land is constructed or not. All this has been done because of ISRO's extraordinary effort. ISRO, when it was started, there was a large number of people all over the world who said, why should India do these things? Why do we want to get into space when we have so many problems on Earth? And let other countries do their space work, and India can very easily borrow from them all the data. The answers are two. First of all, as I said, all the benefits which ISRO has brought into education, biodiversity, farming is incredible. We would not have got that if we were dependent on others. We would have had to pay enormous sums, and we would not have had the capacity to use it in our own manner. But the other aspect is a simple one, which relates to you. You might want to become a data scientist, an astronomer, an astrophysicist, a space scientist. Why should that be denied to you just because you're an Indian? Why should that be available to children only in rich countries? Why shouldn't a girl in Jharkhand gazing at the stars not want to become the world's best astronomer or an astronaut? These opportunities, if they have to be available, science and technology at its fundamental level have to be available to everyone, simultaneous with their livelihood. We cannot take a viewpoint that improving livelihood is something which we need to do for poor people, right? And once they become well-to-do, then they can do their mathematics or their astronomy. And the more well-to-do people can do their astronomy and astrophysics now. The Central Board of Secondary Education and the Ministry of Education have opened up schools so that people of any socio-economical strata can attend. And therefore, you can contribute to shaping our economic future and also have all the liberty through the democratization of science to access the best of science. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Vijayaraghavan. We could have gone on hearing your inspiring words, and thank you for encouraging the students and emphasizing the need and importance of science, STEM education, and also this very pertinent sector, the space sector, and the role it plays overall in the overall development of the globe, world, Earth at large. Thank you so much, Professor. With that, let me move to Dr. Sudhir, who joins us from Indian Space Research Organization, our esteemed partner for the space challenge that we had launched earlier this year. I want to thank you, Dr. Sudhir, you and your team for your support throughout the process. We had really enlightening and inspiring sessions by scientists, and a lot of those were from ISRO and nominated by Dr. Sudhir and team So thank you for doing that. That was very inspiring for students and a great learning experience. And with that, I will request you for a few words before we announce the results.
Thank you, Deepali. Professor Sir, Manoj ji, Chintan ji. It's very, I should say that it's an honor for us to collaborate with ATL Innovation Mission and ATLs. Incidentally, everybody knows that ISRO has adopted around 100 ATLs. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we could not move the way we expected. Probably soon we will get into the ecosystem so that each and every ATL will get energized with the energy of ISRO, I should say. Professor has mentioned very clearly the opportunities for the students. But when I was talking to Chintanji last time, I just mentioned that what is the scope of space? You take it as environment, you take it as water, you take it as fisheries, you take it as agriculture, forest, surface transport, air transport, any kind of social, let us say, ecosystem that you come across, any child or any adult come across, there you find a space application. As you see from the sky, as you see from the ground, there is a lot of distinction. So that's why we call it as the space is a multidisciplinary thing. If this culture kind of, let us say, attention is drawn to the students right from the age of, let us say, 10 or 12, they will get to know how the space applications can facilitate their social life. Incidentally, I just went around to the couple of clubs. They were the students of fifth class, sixth class. They were made to sit in a room and they were told what is your social problems, how these social problems can be let us say solved to a technological means. It was amazing. Some guy to say to the children, some guy is telling my tata will be going to the fields and where the snakes will be predominant, and he wants to have he has to spend time in the field where he requires some time pass. And when something happens, he has to call the nearby, let us say, rescue body for some rescue. They have devised even a small system where the hooter will be there and a radio will be there and some kind of light will be there. So such kind of social problems can be attempted. Only some kind of mentorship is required. As Chintanji was telling, the way the students have attempted, one, they have said their lake is getting occupied. How the space data enabled them to identify how much the natural resources are getting occupied by the, let us say, urbanization or by the, let us say, this one. And amazing such kind of challenges were there, I have seen. Probably, I think we have to continue this kind of churning of the mind between the students by facilitating some programs, such kind of programs. Many more such kind of programs we invite. Maybe lead can be taken by AM, the ministries and CBSE. We can join the hands to make this program grand success so that the innovation aspirations will be keep on enhanced to the student community, so that when they tomorrow when they grow up, they will choose the fields which are of the scientific in nature and resolve the social issues. Incidentally, we have also taking up some kind of initiation through CBSE to collaborate and introduce some kind of space education at the, let us say, higher secondary level or maybe secondary level. That will continue to introduce many of the social problems which can be resolved through space applications. That's what let us hope for the better. Let us keep the tempo in a continuous mode. And again, congratulate all the winners. The 75 is the first program, probably I think kicked off when we are going to have February 21 to 27th, the Science Week. Ahead, we have Chintanji has kicked off the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav program. I hope this same temper will continue, and I hope all the ministries will support in this endeavor. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sudhir. And we hope to continue this journey and have many more collaborated events and challenges for students. One of them is going on right now, the ATL Marathon, and I encourage all students to participate and continue their innovation journey. With that, let me request Shri Manoj Ahuja ji from CBSE, Chairman CBSE, who's joined us for this event today, also our esteemed partner for the ATL Space Challenge. And like I mentioned, it was with their support that this challenge was opened up for all schools, and we received a great amount of response and participation from CBSE schools as well. Thank you for that. Thank you, sir, for encouraging the students. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Saha as well as Shri R.P. Singh ji for their support in this ATL Space Challenge. With that, sir, I'll request you for your words of wisdom before we announce the winners.
Thank you, Dipali. Professor K. Vijay Raghavan, Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Dr. Sudhir Kumar, all the students, parents, mentors, and all others who are present for this webinar. A very warm good afternoon, and it's really been a pleasure for us to see the kind of response we have seen, as Dr. Vaishnav was pointing out, the kind of interest taken, the kind of interactive sessions, the kind of ideas which were generated has been immensely, shall I call it, uplifting and full of optimism. And I really want to place on record the great work which has been done by ATL Innovation Mission in putting this idea of putting the tinkering labs in schools, giving them space, giving an opportunity for children just to tinker and learn. The National Education Policy, which came out last year, essentially talks about two or three very strong ideas. One it says is that education is an active process. You engage your brain. It can't be passive. You can't make children sit in classrooms where teachers keep on lecturing them. That is not the way learning would happen. It'll happen when students themselves are actively engaged and using their minds and their curiosity and their ideas to make sense of what is to learn, of knowledge. And I think this challenge, space challenge, is one such wonderful idea which allows children to be active and learn. And second, which was pointed out by Dr. Sudhir Kumar, it's very important for children to correlate what they are studying with their surroundings. You know, we sometimes denigrate our local problems and we think about big issues. But I think we need to treat our problems as first world problems, give them their due importance, and relate it with the education we are getting in the school. And it'll help our children to, understand and not dissociate education in the school with their real life problem. And that is very important. And again, I feel that the challenges which were given are able to do that. The third very important learning is that knowledge is multidisciplinary. For our purpose of teaching, we have broken it up into standards or classes and topics and content. Whereas when you give them a problem like a space challenge, which is not couched in biology or physics or chemistry or mathematics or algebra or trigonometry, there is nothing holding them back. They are perforce made to think in a very interdisciplinary manner. I mean, the example which was pointed out that in Mars, somebody making an AI ML system, and there will be hundreds and thousands of parameters one would have to measure. Which one is going out of the way, which is not going out of the way. And just by that fact, realizing how beautiful a human body is and the kind of homeostasis and the kind of balancing and measurement the body must be having to do in gravity, the right amount of air, the right amount of temperature. There's so many hormones, there's so many things, and then probably one would be able to learn everything there: chemistry and biology and physics and so many other things, and in a way which with a sense of awe and wonder, which would perhaps make children get a sense of achievement once they realize this is happening. And that is the biggest reward a student can have, learning something, trying to apply it to an unfamiliar situation, and then realizing what it means and what it means in a different context. We are talking about Mars, talking about the environment there, but able to relate it to a human body and to so many other things. And the last thing I would like to say is that with the technology available, which Professor Vijay Raghavan also pointed out, the fact that there is a girl in Jharkhand, why should she be deprived of the best available means of learning? And technology does allow us. It'll take away our traditional definition of concrete schools or restricted to the mentors or your teachers. Each child can get knowledge from the best available source. And therefore, There are so many young people today who may not be getting access to the best schools, but now they are in a position to get access and show their prowess and show their skill. And that is what challenges like ATL Space Challenge, which was there, allow an opportunity. And I'm very glad to know that about 22 out of 75 winners were all girls team, and around the same number of schools were non-ATL schools, which itself says, point out that talent, it's distributed equally. And I think it's a challenge for us and an opportunity to ensure that we are able to, disseminate all these challenges and bring up our children from the entire country, even the remotest part of the country. So I think it's been a wonderful experience for CBSE also, and we do look forward to extending and strengthening our collaboration with both ISRO, which is a great organization, and ATL Innovation Mission, which is so full of new ideas and so very relevant and important for the education system in India. We look forward to strengthening it. And at the end, I would like to congratulate all the winners and all the student teams who participated. And I'm sure whether you won or not, the experience would have been very, very fulfilling and full of learning for the teachers, for the teams, for the students, and the mentors. And we do look forward to more such challenges and a much larger participation from all over the country. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manoj, for your encouraging words and for the support that CBSE provided for this challenge. Now that without further ado, let's see who our winners are for the Space Challenge. I'm sure students and teachers are eagerly waiting for this moment. I'll request Naba Surur, who was also driving this challenge from ATL Innovation Mission side, and a big call out to her and Tanvi Mishra and the entire ATL team for their support at the back end to drive this challenge to a grand success. Okay, so you can see the winners on the ATL Innovation Mission website page. There is a banner when you go to aim.gov.in. You will see this banner announcement of winners for ATL Space Challenge. And as you click it, you will see the list of the top 75 teams with their school names and region and state. So these are all the winners. We have 75 of them. We can gradually scroll. If you can quickly peek and see your name, congratulations to all the winners, and a bigger congratulations to everyone who participated. We really value your participation and your encouraging ideas. It, like everyone said, all the leaders said, that it was inspiring to see your thought process. It was inspiring to see your innovation and ideas. So continue this journey, and thank you for participating in this challenge. The top teams will get surprises in terms of prizes from ISRO as well as CBSE. So wait for more coming up your way. And also the participation certificates will be along soon. And with that, I'll request Dr. Chintan Vaishnav to share his closing thoughts and close the event.
Thank you very much, Dipali, and thank you for your leadership of the ATL team and the ATL team for all the work that they've done in making this challenge a success. For all the students and teachers and mentors who are in this audience, let me share with you two challenges that we are trying to work on, just so that we can recruit you on working on them. Well, one is it was Mr. Ahuja mentioned about making education inclusive and extending it to, well, this time we said ATL and non-ATL teams or schools. One other dimension of inclusion that we have just launched as ATL Innovation Mission is the Vernacular Innovation Program. As you know, 90% of our nation does not speak English, 89% of the nation to be precise. And next year, let us strive to even make people, let them submit their videos in their own languages and participate in their own languages, because I think that will bring us more creativity. So that's one dimension of inclusion that we are striving for. We are, and in a very systematic way, in terms of teaching, training a vernacular task force in each language, so that innovation and entrepreneurship can be accessible in the official 22 languages of India. So that's one. The other, which also was alluded to, is this idea of how can we make tinkering as one of the mainstream pedagogical approach, right? A way of teaching and learning. Here, so we have 10,000 ATLs, close to 10,000, 9,500 odd ATLs right now. But we want to bring the idea of tinkering to all schools, not just the ones that have ATLs. You might say, okay, what will we achieve by doing that, right? So think about the following spectrum. Think about 3 buckets. The first bucket, where the problem is known and the solution is also known. The second bucket, where the problem is known, but the solution is not known, or there can be other pathways of achieving the solution, right? The third bucket, where the problem is new and the solution is not known. Okay, if you think about our current classrooms, it's in the first bucket, where the teacher has already taught the solution before they ask a question in the examination. The teacher well knows that people should know the answer to this question. If you look at life, it is exactly the opposite, right? You always have problem before you arrive at the solution. Look at COVID. We have a new problem and we need a new solution. We needed a new solution. We have come up with a vaccine in record time and all that. And so at the first sort of known problem, known solution end is the traditional education, if you would. At the other end of the spectrum, new problem, new solution is where the innovation, discovery, all of that is. In between, known problem, new ways of solving them is where tinkering is. Okay, we want to bring that to as many people as possible. So again, we really want to invite you, those schools with ATLs, etc., to think about how can you include schools around you. You have this asset. Why don't we include them in innovative ways? So that is the second thing we're striving for. And we invite your participation in it. And then finally, in closing, I must say that the signature event of ATL Tinkering Labs, which is the ATL Marathon, which is in its 5th year, which is a flagship event. It's open right now for submitting your solutions and your applications. So please go to ATL Innovation Mission's web page and register to participate in the ATL Marathon. And let's solve some more problems of our neighborhoods. And thank you very much for being with us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chintan, and thank you to all the guests who joined us today. Thank you, Professor K. Vijayaraghavan. Thank you, Shri Manoj Ahuja, sir. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir, for joining us. And I also want to call out and thank Ms. Nabha Sarur, Tanvi Mishra, and the entire ATL team for putting in their hard work for this challenge. I want to thank Dr. Biswajit Saha and Mr. R.P. Singh from CBSE for supporting this challenge wholeheartedly and all the initiatives around it. And also, Dr. Sudhir, convey our thanks to your entire team for supporting us so well on this challenge. And like everyone said, we look forward to many more. Congratulations to all the students, teachers, and thank you to all the teachers and mentors for guiding students to the Space Challenge. Thank you. We look forward to seeing everyone again.